Welcome to Creative Learning Resources. So today you are going to see, this video is going to be extremely important because you are going to meet very professional career counselors and they have an experience of several years of sending students to top-notch universities in the world. And first of all, meet Miss Kate. So, Miss Kate, please introduce yourself to the students.
Hi, my name is Kate. A little bit about myself is I was born in the UK. I went to school here in Jeddah. I went to both the American School and Conti. I went back to the UK to study. I then went to Lebanon also for university. Then I went back to the UK for my master's. Then I worked in different fields. I studied law, I worked in hospitality. Then I came back here in 2015. I joined Conti and I worked within the University Guidance Office. I went on multiple training courses, and this is where I worked with Ms Shields. And this is what spurred me to create this company, Uni Guidance. Particularly, we are missing professional quality guidance. And it's something so integral and students really need it. So I'm really hoping that this is going to be of use for them.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm hopeful that this session and today's video is going to be extremely helpful for all the students who are actually seeking for admissions in the universities. Now, students meet Ms Shabri. She's also a very, very experienced career counselor. Ms Shabri, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity for us to talk to you. I grew up in India, so I benefited from the Indian system of education and then moved to the UK for university. I then took up the teaching profession and worked in the UK for over 20 years before moving to Jeddah. I was very, very happy to work at Conti for 6 years, where I led the University Guidance Department, and Kate and I set up policies, strategies, and a lot of practical experience to ensure that Conti had the best acceptances that they had ever had in their 45-year history under our leadership and guidance. So we want to provide the same opportunities to anybody in Saudi who needs that help.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shabri. Ms. Shabri, first I will ask a question from Ms. Kate. So, Ms. Kate, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, Ms. Kate, why, a professional should be hired for career guidance? So, why there's a need to hire a professional for this particular field? Because many students don't know the importance that they should actually hire a professional. So what is the importance of hiring a professional, and how it is going to impact the students admission process in universities?
Okay, so I believe it's really, really important to hire a professional. I wish I had a university guidance counsellor when I applied to university. I applied to a university with a higher predicted than the university was asking for, and I thought, okay, my grades are higher, I'm going to get an offer. That wasn't the case. There are so much more to university applications than just meeting the minimum criteria. And I know students think, how hard can it be? Open a website, open a prospectus, look what the university says, 38.666 in IB Highers, for example. Oh, I'm on track. But there's so much more. Universities are looking for so much more. You need to have the right previous, GCSE. If you're taking GCSE system, you need to have the correct profile, your subject choices. There's nuances that professionals know that students aren't aware of. The student is adamant they want to go to a particular university and they're trying to apply for a really competitive in-demand course. It's, hold on, you have a real strength in another subject, which is not as competitive. Why don't we try applying for this subject? It has lower requirements. but you're still going to graduate from the same university. A professional can give you this holistic view. They can put all the pieces of your application together, give you honest guidance, honest feedback. Also, a professional they're going to give you the support. Applying to university is so competitive, so stressful, so demanding. We're there to help you, assist you, hold your hand through the process. When you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know, what to do next. It's overwhelming. In addition to studying, it's having that support system there, that person that's going to be like, no, come on, you can do it. And just having someone to, help you.
True.
We all need a bit of help.
That's great.
They need this.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in detail in a minute. So, Ms. Shabri, actually, this is very important, which I think, like being an experienced teacher, I believe that a student should know which point in time of his or her academic, path, when should a student, consult to or start consulting to a career counselor or for the guidance. So what is the best time once a student should start seeking for career guidance?
Okay, that's a really important aspect of this whole process. And I think that's the aspect of the process that perhaps parents and students don't realize, that the key time that you need to start thinking about this and preparing yourself, because in the end, it's you who's going to get the admission, is when you start high school. So if you're in the American system, that would be grade 9. If you're in the British system, that would be when you start your IGCSEs, which is year 10. The reason for this is because the midway point of when you are doing your IGs in the British system or halfway through your high school is so important in terms of showing your academic potential. Universities want to look at progress over the 4 years. They want to look at prior attainment data. They want to understand what your potential is. And if you don't start it at the beginning of your high school career, often not through any fault of your own, but purely because you didn't know, you end up getting into the last year of high school when you have to apply. And then you realize that your subject choices, your academic profile, your extracurriculars, they don't match what you want to do. And it's not that this is something that we would blame you for, it's because you didn't know. And this is where somebody can come in and help you from day one. So at the age of 14 really is when you start preparing, because my advice is that applying to university or college is not a sprint. It's not a sprint at the end or the 100 meters where you're just going to go in the last year and it's all going to be okay. It's a marathon. And that's also to do with your academic performance. You have to demonstrate year on year that you are performing to your best academic potential and that you are making progress. And all the extra things that you need in terms of work experience, for example, if you're doing medicine or looking at business, then writing your extended essay if you're doing the IB program, or the right AP class to take, or the right subject sat. It's a huge amount of stuff that you probably don't know. And by having somebody to hold your hand, guide you, and provide that support from the age of 14 is really important. However, I do want to say to all of you guys listening, because there'll be a lot of you who will now be in, say, a grade 11 or 12 or year 13, who think, oh, this is too late for me. Absolutely not. We can still help you. It's just, for me, the optimum time, and everything about this process is about doing it to give you the best advantage, would be to start at the beginning of high school.
So it means that, generally, once a student reaches to IGCSE, the first year of IGCSE, then a student, should start getting the guidance for, what is that student's aim is and what university a student is aiming to go to. If a student has, now the student is in IB1. So, is the effectiveness of this, guidance is going to decrease with you professional people? You're going to minimize the effects of lack of that time spent once a student was not being guided properly.
So that's where we really specialize, because when we were at Conti, we would get kids when they came in IB1. And often we'd think, okay, this is not going to work, so we need to find a plan B or a plan C for this student, which is acceptable to the student and the parents. And that really is our speciality. Obviously, we want to get you guys at the start so that we can give you the best possible help. However, if you come to us, even last year, we had people come to us in October of IB2, not knowing what to do, the deadline was approaching, we can still help you. That's what I would call triage, we're helping to fix things that are broken at that time. And that is something that both Kate and I are very specialized at. But we would really encourage you, those of you who are listening, who are in your first few years of high school, to take advantage of this so that you get the maximum potential. But all is not lost. I think that's really important that you understand that, if you come to us in IB1, IB2, grade 11, grade 12, that we can help you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shabri. So, Ms. Kate, I have the next question for you. Usually students, they apply to UK, they apply to US, they apply to Canada. Some of the students, they would like to go to Australia and some other unis in Europe somewhere. What are the differences in the process of admission to all these unis, and what are the similarities?
Okay, so that's a really important question. I don't want to be too specific because I don't want to mislead anybody, because it should always be case by case. But there are many different. Within the US system alone, there are many differences between the private American universities and the public ones. So if we take UCLA, which is a top public university, they have over 100,000 applicants a year. They are not in the Common App system. They have their own application portal, and they really stress on numbers. So the transcript, your GPA, your testing. Whereas if you take a private university, they maybe on the Common App system, you have your Common App essay, you have additional essays. They take a much more holistic view. They want letters of recommendation. So even within the US, there's many differences. In the UK, we don't use letters of recommendation. We just have the council letter of rec. Canada is a bit more similar to the UK, but then in Canada, for example, there's some prerequisites if you want to study certain subjects that we don't have in the UK. For example, if you wanted to study architecture at McGill, a top university, you have to have maths or physics, one of them being at a higher level at IB. Whereas if you wanted to study architecture at a top university in the UK, such as UCL, there is no subject prerequisites. So the application process is very different. And as you can see, it can be very confusing for a student, especially if they're applying to multiple countries, because they may want to apply to engineering in the UK, USA, and Canada. And obviously, the application system is very different. So everything has to be addressed in detail, case by case, and I don't want to mislead anyone here by giving any too much away.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Kate. But actually, for the students, it is like you are going through all of those complicated syllabi of chemistry, of biology, physics, and the others. And then it means that going to get admission in the uni is also a complete field in which you need to know a lot of stuff, which of course possibly to get distracted if you start running behind all of the things which you need to know to get to the admission. What are the criteria, and what is the criterion in the university in the UK? What is in the in any other university in Europe, in Australia, in Canada? So leave that all attention, and that is the actual output. Imagine you had been working so hard for so many years, and then it ended up in you're reaching nowhere, or at least you're reaching to a place which you were not actually targeting or dreaming about. So it means that leave this particular area to these professionals which know that what is the best thing for you, and if you're targeting for a particular uni, what should be the important steps you should be start taking at what point in time. Thank you very much, Ms. Kate. Ms. Shabri, I have the next question for you.
Yes.
So what is the impact of COVID-19 situation on university admissions?
Okay, so the COVID-19 situation has really changed the whole ball game in terms of admissions and joining, etc. So, for example, the US, I have to say, is probably the country where it's in a most state of flux, as in it's very unclear as to what's going to happen, how we move ahead. Because, for example, the universities in the US, and this is the majority of them, who use testing, which means ACT or SAT, as the first discriminator as to who they're going to look at to take their application further. Most universities have now said that next year, because they don't want to disadvantage students, that they're not going to use testing. And this means that, and they have said this, that the essays and the counselor recommendations are going to become even more important, which means really that this is the time when anyone wanting to go to the USA from Saudi Arabia or wherever needs even more help to make sure that those essays are spot on and that you stand out. The visa situation is, again, another one in the US that we can't predict at the moment, because obviously the political situation could change in November. Nobody really knows what's going on there. So the key is for you to have as much information from the professionals as possible so that you don't get caught out. The UK and Canada are slightly less complicated in the sense that they are carrying on as per normal. However, you also have to think about the fact that more people might be applying to the to the UK or Canada because they might be unsure about the US, which means that it's going to become even more competitive for you to get a place in a UK or Canadian university of your choice. Because in the end, the simple truth of the matter is university admissions is, and for those of you who do economics and business, it's a question of supply and demand. So there is a limited amount of supply and there is potentially an unlimited amount of demand. So our job really is to make sure that you are putting your best self forward so that you are ticking as many of the boxes to give you the best chance to get to where you want to be. But the COVID-19 situation really has caused a lot of students a lot of distress, and that's another area where we can help in terms of supporting you emotionally, and also making sure that we are on top of the news, so you don't have to then monitor everything and understand what's going on. That's our job, to make sure we're fully aware of what the situation is.
Ms Shabri, there's another question. Some of the students I had been interacting with during this particular COVID situation, once the students are waiting for their IGCSE and especially A level and AS level results to come yet. Students are thinking that everything is because slowed down and it's sluggish now. So they believe that the university admission process is also actually slowed down and universities are actually not very active at this point in time. So what is your advice to the students? Should they just keep on waiting till the universities will come to them and ask them to wake up? Or do you suggest that the students should start doing something at this point in time?
If we're talking about students who are in year 13 who have applied and don't know what's going on in terms of their results, then I'm afraid you just have to wait. And it's the same for the IB students, because obviously IB students get their results quite a lot earlier than the A levels.
True.
If you're in the first year of IB or the first year of A levels, then I'm afraid you have to pretend as if COVID's not happening, because in the end, universities are businesses and they need the students' fees to be able to function. So they are going to be carrying on as normal. I am getting emails from university admissions tutors every day about have your students applied? What are they doing? Encourage them to start applying, start thinking about it. Because those universities will need to fill those places to ensure that they have the funding to actually function. Because obviously the world economy is going to be in a bit of a mess by the time this COVID is finished. And universities can't afford to wait. So they are still functioning as normal in terms of admissions. So you can't just sit back if you're in year 12 or IB1. You have to be proactive and you have to start thinking about your applications and making sure that you are putting your best application forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this point is very much clear now. Ms. Kate, the next question I have for you. What are the expectations on the students during this whole process of career guidance?
So students need to do their part, obviously. We're here to guide them, support them, encourage them, everything they need along the way, but they still have to do their part. They have to be willing to put the work in. So if we are assisting them, guiding them, and then the grades slip, the transcript has a slump, this is not helpful. There's nothing we can do that can magic, a better transcript if they're not doing their part, for example. They need to be open-minded as well. For example, if they came in the process thinking that they're going to get into Stanford, Harvard, wherever, Oxford, or anywhere, whatever their dream university may be, but their profile doesn't match, then they have to be open-minded, they have to be realistic. They have to be willing to accept that maybe that's not for them at this time, and they need to start thinking of other options. They may not have the correct subjects. They may have come too late. They may think, I want to do medicine in the UK, and I've taken biology, so that's all I need. Well, no, you need chemistry, so you can't go direct entry for medicine. So students have to really open-minded, realistic. They have to put the work in, and they have to be willing to listen sometimes to some brutal honesty.
Okay.
And it's something that they face along the way. It's life, unfortunately. We can't all get into the universities, but actually that's not also what it's all about. Shabri and I have worked with students for all abilities. So they're top tier for a reason. They're only the top. What about the rest of the student body? We've helped students who have faced difficulties and thought, where am I going to go? Because my grades, my transcripts doesn't look very good. And they've gone for foundation courses or community colleges. There is a place for everybody. You just have to be willing to come to terms with where your profile matches.
Exactly, and to find the way to reach over there. Like if you don't know the path, yes, you can never reach to the destination. Ms. Shabri, would you like to add something to the same question?
Yes, I would actually, and what Kate said is very, very right. And the key thing I think has been our success. Obviously, we have the big names, and everybody loves to hear about the big names. But actually, if you talk to Kate and I, we will say we took more pride and more joy of getting students who worked really hard, but perhaps were not the A-star students, because not everybody is an A-star student. And I think people have to accept that. But they worked really hard to the best of their ability. And we found them a course that they were accepted on, and they're now graduating. A lot of these students are now graduating because obviously we've been doing this for 6 years at Conti. And those students, I get letters from them all the time saying, it was the best choice for me. And sometimes as an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old, you can't see that. And I think the key thing is that if you trust your guidance counselor and you know that your guidance counselor has your best interests at heart, then you know that you will get to where you want to be. And if I can just give one example of a student who applied to LSE and applied to UCL in the UK, didn't make the grades, so they went to Liverpool to do history and politics, did really, really well there because they worked so hard, and then got into LSE for their masters. The master's is another route where it is easier and perhaps less competitive for students to get into the top names. Now, this person has now got a fantastic job with HM Treasury, very competitive job. So as I said before, this is about a marathon. Your life is a marathon, your career is a marathon, it is not a sprint. And I think the key thing is that we want our students to trust us, because we have the experience, we have the knowledge. And the other thing we have is 100% positive intent for our students, 100% positive intent. So we will do our best for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Shabri. And I would also like my students to know, and I would like to share with our experiences, Ms. Shabri and my experience. Once I remember one of our students from Conti, she went to top university and she went to Harvard. And then the students, they started going to Stanford. And I remember that started happening once Ms. Shabri joined the school. and she started giving her amazing services to the school, and the students started. It doesn't mean that the students did not have the caliber, or they didn't have the potential, or they didn't have the abilities to reach to the top universities, but the right guidance actually did that. So Ms. Shabri, share some experiences.
I think the key thing you've said there is it's not that the students in the previous 38 years of Conti's history didn't have the ability. Absolutely they did, but they didn't know how, and they were not guided. And I think I have to say it was a team effort between me and Kate in terms of us doing the research, the reading, the training, and also putting in huge number of hours to make sure that those students were 100% supported and that their applications were absolutely perfect. And it was also giving them the confidence. I've had parents say to me, students from Conti don't get into those universities. This was in my first year. And I said, absolutely not. We are going to get you into these universities. Not everybody. Obviously, in a year group of 73 students, we had one or two who would get into your Oxford, Cambridge, or Harvard, Stanford, etc. But every year, for the past 6 years, we have had consistently students getting into MIT, Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, Cambridge, and the other really competitive area where a lot of our students look at is medicine in the UK. And it's about giving the parents and the students that confidence that, yes, we can get you there if your academic profile is the right one. And the other thing is, it's about trusting us, as I said. Sometimes I know it's about giving students the confidence and equipping them with the tools that will allow them to then apply to those universities. And I don't want students to think just because they apply that they're going to get in, because obviously all these top universities are extremely competitive. The acceptance rate for the top US universities is something like 2 or 3%. So obviously, and you're competing with students all around the world. But our job is to make sure, and this is what we did at Conti for the past 6 years, is that you could present the best case forward. And, thankfully for most students that worked out, that they managed to go to one of their universities. The key thing is, though, and I think, this is something that students and parents have to understand. And I keep mentioning parents here because as a parent myself, of somebody who's gone through this process in terms of being a mum, parents often get left out, but in the end, the parents are the ones who are paying, and they have to also be part of the process. The key thing is having a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, in fact, sometimes, because you never know what is going to happen in terms of, for example, the COVID situation. And also for students, you don't know what's going to happen in terms of your family circumstances, because life is very unfair sometimes and very uncertain. Or, for example, you as a student, you might, your grades might slip because of a personal problem or a sickness or whatever. So the key thing is for all students, this is top students and every other student, is that we will present you with a range of options so that you have a safety net. And I think that's really important. But the key thing is to give you the confidence to know, yes, you can do it. You can have a can-do attitude. And that's, I think, the key thing.
That's great. That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Shabri. Ms. Kate, I have the next question for you. What are your professional services offer? What the students can expect from you, once they are seeking for guidance from you for their future.
Okay, so firstly, it's going to be honesty. We don't make false promises. We're not going to say, yes, you're going to get into this university for sure. They will have a realistic, honest working relationship with us. We're always there to support them, guide them, be someone to vent to, cry to, whatever they need. We're there with that support system. With the uni guidance business, we give feedback on all aspects of the application process. So essays, CVs, testing, English proficiency tests, portfolios where required, extracurriculars, applying to medicine or Oxbridge, the extra tests you need for that. So all the logistics that go along with the application, we will guide and assist them.
That's great. That's wonderful. So, okay, students, the professional guidance which you're going to get from Ms. Kate, they are like, the professional career counselors. You will get the address in the description down there. And like, I have put the link in the description. You can check in the link. And you can also look for the PDF file. I have made the link for that. And you're going to actually look into all of the different kind of programs which they are offering, or different services which they are offering. But the good news is that Ms. Kate is so kind that she has given 20% discount on all of her packages if anyone is going to make a booking through the Creative Learning Resources stream. So you just like, give the reference of this particular stream, and straight away you will get 20% off. And like, which is actually a very attractive offer. Thank you very much, Ms. Kate, for helping the students in this way.
I'm really useful for your students. I'd just like to say that the packages is not all, that's just generally a lot where our students apply to. We do all around the world. We've done, individual countries, Germany, Turkey, wherever. It's not just set on the packages. We can always, work outside of the packages. I just really hope this has been useful to give your students some tips or guidance to get them off on the right path, give them some encouragement. It's a really competitive, stressful process. So I really hope that they know that there are professionals out there that can help them, that can support them, be there for them, give them the guidance, give them the right path, the motivation, the support system.
Yes, definitely. I do understand that. This is also a very, very lengthy, tedious, and very specialized process. Like, I believe that like all the students I know like there's so many examples which I can give. And like once they started looking for, like they were the students were so depressed. They didn't know what to do. Once they discovered that the universities, once they put the preference list, and then they started looking, they started getting letters that the universities, they have not accepted them. Any such situation, I have seen very, very good students who were actually working also very hard, but at the end, like, whatever they were targeting for, they didn't have a plan B. As Ms. Shabri said, that these professionals are going to prepare the plans to ultimately like help you to reach somewhere, like, which is reasonably good. So the thing is, like, I have seen students going into extreme depression. Many times the parents came to me that we had been paying fee to the schools, we had been investing on, like, all this, and then our child, our daughter, our son, they have not reached to what we were dreaming about. So first of all, like, the career counselors, they're going to give you the realistic destination. They're going to tell you that, okay, with this transcript, with this, for example, like a student who is having, like, B's and C's, and that student is targeting for Harvard, or wants to go to Stanford. So these professionals are going to tell you that, okay, dreaming about that, very good, we will try, but what possibilities of acceptance you have, they are going to tell you, and they're going to tell you that what is the best one for you and what you should do. And plus also, sometimes without the help of career guidance, sometimes, like, the travel agents, they trap people, their companies, who say that, okay, we will arrange admission to the university, we will take you over there, and people actually lose, like, hundreds and thousands of dollars for that, and at the end they end up reaching nowhere. So there are some questions. Ms. Shabri, there is a student, is like, is done grade 12, and he is finished this year. And like now he's saying that he's double-minded. His passion is in two things. He didn't mention that what his passion is, but his passion is in two things. And then he's saying that I don't know what to do.
Okay, so this is a problem that a lot of young people face because they might be interested. In fact, I spoke to somebody yesterday who said to me that they liked art and psychology equally. So what do I do? Okay, and this is a problem. Now, if you're going to the US, that is slightly less of a problem because US degrees are much more flexible in year 1 and 2. So you can defer the choice for 2 years because you can carry on exploring both. But there will come a point when actually maybe you have to make a choice. Whereas if you're going to the UK or Canada, it's far more restrictive in the sense you do have to make a choice. And this is where we have to talk to parents as well, because parents might have certain constraints in terms of their financial commitment, etc. So we have to talk about that. The other thing is, when you have two passions like that, say for art and psychology, I'm just giving those as two examples, then we have to think about what's your long-term goal. Where do you see yourself working? And for that, there are actually a lot of computer programs that we can put you through to see where your strengths are. Because sometimes you might think, oh, psychology sounds amazing because, you know, I watch Criminal Minds on the TV and it's all about profiling, but actually it's not, you know, it's actually completely different. So we can also help give you guidance in terms of what do these jobs mean in practical terms? Where can I go with an art degree? Where can I go with a psychology degree? And give you some advice into how to choose what is going to be more beneficial to you. And sometimes we have to just be blunt and say to a kid, yes, I understand that you love both subjects equally, but now you have to sit down with your parents and decide which one is going to be more practical for you and which one you stand a better chance of getting into the best school possible. So that is something also that is really important. And that goes back to what Kate was saying about having that honest relationship where you can actually be completely honest with your students and also with your parents.
Can I just say something that's slightly linked?
Yes.
You're saying about, you know, when a student has different passions, and then we're talking about backup plans and everything. Shabri and I worked with a student at Conti who was excellent in English, and she applied to UCL in London and got accepted. She enrolled, but when she saw the reading list, she felt that this was not for her. And she actually withdrew and came back and came into the office, back to school, and to see us to say, you know, what am I going to do? And she was feeling down and lost and kind of overwhelmed. And there's a lot of pressure on students today, you know, to live up to expectations of society and their parents. You know, everyone knew she got into UCL. And Shabri came up with this genius idea that, okay, you've done your IB, you know, did she get 41 points?
Correct, 41 points, yeah.
So, you know, she was a high scorer, and she was one of Shabri's psychology students. And she said, why don't we apply for this, take a year off, take a gap year. Why don't we apply for this degree in Cambridge? And she was adamant, no, you know, I'm not a Cambridge kind of student, and I'm not going to fit, and, you know, I'm not good enough, you know, all the self-doubts that everybody has. And we worked with her and we supported her. We assisted her in the new personal statement she had to write. We addressed why she withdrew from UCL.
Wonderful.
And she's doing a degree that is far more suited to her.
That's amazing.
I think it's also about giving young people the courage to say, actually, this is not right for me. And this is a classic example. You know, taking a gap year isn't exactly very common within our Saudi culture and also within our Southeast Asian parents, because, you know, what are you doing for a year? You're sitting at home, etc. But to take a gap year, to then actually go to Cambridge to do a degree in sociology, psychology, and politics, which she's wonderfully suited for, you know, it's going to be worth it. And she's doing so well over there. So, you know, it's about giving students the courage to say, no, I thought that was for me, but actually it's not, and I'm going to make a different life choice.
Yes, that's very important. Like, which choice is right for you for that particular student, and what that particular student can excel into. You know, like maybe that student is having a very good musician in that person, but maybe not a good doctor. One more question, like, you know, Ms. Shabri, which I have, for instance, like, you know, professionally, this question is from both of you, from Ms. Kate and Ms. Shabri. Like, you are in UK, Ms. Shabri, and Ms. Kate is in KSA. if any, after watching this video, because the video will be watched all over the world, it will be watched everywhere, like in Germany, in Russia, even in China, in Japan, and everywhere. So if any person, let's say a person, because many of my students, they are there in Pakistan as well. So what kind of help you can provide?
I think I'll let Kate answer that, as obviously the uni guidance is sort of her project.
Yes, Ms. Kate.
So, yeah. So we can guide them in a multitude of ways, working with them with where their passions are, what their interests are, where their interests lie, where they see their future, how they're performing currently, everything. There's so much that we can help a student with and support them in, if they're willing to engage and fully engage with the process.
So I was going to say that, you know, one thing that COVID has shown us is that you don't have to be physically in the same place as somebody to be able to avail of a great service that uni guidance is offering. You could be anywhere in the world, as we are now.
Yes,
you know,
yes, exactly.
Both of you are in Jeddah and I'm in London, and yet we're having this really interesting, productive meeting. And with so much going online now, in terms of people working from home, in terms of schools, universities, Harvard is going to be online next semester. So I don't think anybody who wants to use the uni guidance service with Kate, they don't need to worry about not having the physical contact, because it's now we are so used to online relationships that we can build that same level of rapport even if you are in Japan.
That's great. That's wonderful. It means that, like, you know, you don't have to be physically here in KSA. If you're in any part of the world, Miss Kate, and of course through Miss Kate, Ms Shabri is going to give you all possible professional support. I'm going to take one more question, and that will be the last question. And there is a student, his name is Hanan, and he's asking, what about if a student has got wonderful grades, like, you know, a student has got all A's or A stars, you know, parents are unable to afford the fee of the university?
Well, that, unfortunately, that is something that is happening, and it's going to also, with today's economic situation, this is something more students are going to face. We face this ourselves in Conti, where students can't afford, you know, their first choice. Maybe they want to do medicine in the UK, it's not affordable, they have to look elsewhere. We've had students accepted to top tier universities in the UK and the USA, and they just unfortunately can't go. They need to look at an alternative route, and that's what I mean by students need to be open-minded. And it's not all, and sometimes we have, you know, we can't forget that they're 17, 18-year-olds, and when we're that age, we are very, you know, self-centered in a way. We think it's about us, isn't it? And I've worked so hard, you know, I've earned this, I deserve to go. Yes, but it's just not the case that everybody can go to this university. So maybe, you know, your parents cannot afford to send you. You might have to go to a university at home to reduce the costs, because there's no accommodation costs, for example. But then you could maybe go and do your master's somewhere else.
Also, I think the other thing to reassure students like Hanan is that if you are a very high achieving student, the chances of you getting any funding to help you with your studies in the top universities is not going to be there. However, the middle tier universities are going to be desperate to have you, because you will then raise their academic profile. So you are an asset to them. So if I just give you an example of a student who had a place at Oxford, also had a place at University of Toronto. University of Toronto gave them a 40% scholarship. Oxford gave them nothing. Oxford is ranked #1 in the world. University of Toronto is ranked number 21. Okay, so because of the financial situation of the student, they have chosen to go to University of Toronto. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be a very successful engineer in the future. Absolutely, University of Toronto Engineering School is one of the best in the world. And as I said to this student, you know, when you come to master's level, as Kate just mentioned, there are many, many more funding opportunities, because then you can actually get company funding for people who want you to develop a product for them, etc. And it becomes a more narrow field. So there's more scope for funding. So we will help you make those choices. Kate has a lot of experience in terms of looking at different options to get the best possible outcome for you and your family's financial situation.
That's great. That's wonderful. I said that was the last question, but there's another very important question. This question is asked by a student. Her name is Hira, and she's from Pakistan. And she's saying that to what extent do extracurricular activities play a part in the university application?
So again, this is something we see all the time. Students feel that it's like a checklist. If I add this, I do all these extracurriculars, I'm just going to be this wonderful candidate, and every university is going to want me because, I'm a musician, I do charity work, I play sports. This is not always the case at all. I mean, first of all, I know in the UK, for example, in your personal statement, a lot of students just start listing all their extracurriculars. Well, the universities want to see students that they think are suitable candidates for their courses, not someone who does a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, They want people who maybe have one or two extracurriculars but are dedicated to it, and what can that bring to the university? So I feel it's better to dedicate your time and your extracurriculars to something that you can specialize in, for example, like, you play piano to a higher grade as opposed to being a lower grade piano, bit of drums, captain of the volleyball team or whatever. Because sometimes universities look at it as a so what. Okay, so what, you do this, you do that, you do, all these wonderful things. So what? What does that bring to us? Or what does that bring? Why does that make you a suitable candidate to study, art or whatever? And I think also students spend far too much time on their extracurriculars. Time that could be dedicated more towards the academic studies or the university process. I know students that are enrolled in the IB system, for example, they do CAS. So things that they do through CAS is more than enough extracurriculars.
Yes.
And then if you are some medicine, you need to be doing, and other subjects as well, but particularly medicine, you need to be doing hands-on work experience. So you don't need to be filling your time with your sports teams and your music and whatnot, horse riding and therapeutic riding and everything. You need to be getting out there, and you need to be having some hands-on experience and showing why you are dedicated and why you want to be studying what you are applying for.
Okay, thank you very much. The time, we are almost 1 hour for the stream. And for the students, all of the students, of course, on the behalf of all of my students, I'm saying special thanks to Ms. Kate, to you, to be with us, on this evening. And this is a wonderful opportunity to talk to you. Ms. Shabri, thank you very much. And this was so wonderful, and it was so helpful. It's going to be so helpful, Ms. Shabri.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak to your students. We really, really appreciate it, and the amazing work that you do with them. I think we need to say that.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Really?
So, Ms. Kate, thank you very much. And we'll see you hopefully very soon, a similar kind of a session. Some of the students are going to watch this video later, and because they probably could not get time to watch that. So they're going to ask so many questions. So we can do a part 2 of this video as well if students need it. Thank you very much, Ms. Kate, as well. And have a wonderful evening and wonderful day.